Round 5. Welcome everyone to our stream of RaceOnOz Sunday League's Round 5. I am once again joined by Hatfield.
Hey guys, season 11, ready to go, round 5. How we feeling?
Wonderful. And of course, the man with zero amounts of thumbs is Razor, Jason.
Hello.
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 Of course, we missed the stream for round 4. It was the Enduro round at Catalonia. How did that go, Hatfield and Jason?
Well, Noble came out on top in a very, very small grid. We had seemed a few protesters who didn't end up racing because they didn't like the regulations. So we had a 7-car grid.
Actually, you'll find that their mothers kept them home.
Yeah, that was me, sorry.
I mean, it was Mother's Day, but
Race has got a race.
Noble ended up winning very, very slimly after a post-race penalty over Reeve O'Brien. So both the PNL boys locked out P1 and P2, followed by Captain Risky and Razor, so the BHR boys. And then Hatfield, Chopper Dog, and Zephos rounded out the rest of the field. So it wasn't the most exciting race, especially for an enduro as well, an hour and a half. But yeah, that was the results there.
We're all feeling considerably more pumped up now. Thank you for that assessment of the boringest race that you've ever heard about.
Boring race and a boring analysis.
But the championship, though, is much more interesting. After that round, because we had a no-show from Keaton, as I said before, his mother kept him home. The leader of the championship ends up being Risky at this point in time by only a few points. So Keaton keeps second spot there, but a massive gap back to the rest of the field. I don't think we have to worry about them for the rest of the season. Noble coming in at third at the moment after that debut, well, not debut, but first win for his career, which is great for him.
He is making a big charge up the field too, from his intro.
If he had been able to start with this from round 1, he might be right in it. But at this stage, I think he's going to have to wait for next season.
I think
it's difficult starting late.
It is. I think both of those Alpha Racing Team boys have made a huge impact on our season so far. I think they've really stamped a mark on Ruse and said that they're here for wins, and Noble really came out and proved that at Catalonia.
Some drivers they come to Ruse and some do well and some are just hazardous.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. It's Mount Panorama, of course, Australia's gem for round 5 tonight. It is our sprint race, which is always a bit of a chaotic one. It's proved to be quite exciting, as we've seen in the past. It was myself who took home the top step of the podium in the second race last season, which was something that no one expected in the Super Formula.
Talk it up.
Yeah, I will, and I did. But
that's enough from you. But the key difference there is that second race was reverse grid.
And that's something we won't see tonight, a reverse grid.
That's right. Its second race will be a continuation of the results from the first race. A little bit different this season, not what we're used to. But also due to that, the second race will carry full amount of points, same as the first race, rather than the half points that we've had in previous seasons.
I think that it really benefits consistency. I think if you're going to do well in both races, it just commends your work, and I think we'll see the guys who score big this round will be the guys who are up there for everything. So I think you'll see Keaton, Noble, maybe Captain Risky, Metal Gear, Mid-Mat. We'll see all these guys really up the top for this round.
I think the only downside to that sort of schedule is that you don't see the hustle and bustle of the guys at the back who have won the previous race trying to absolutely fight through the field to then get as many points as they can in that, in the half points second race.
Yeah, we will miss out on that tonight, but hopefully we can make up for it with some cracking racing at the front with all those guys nose to tail.
Should be great fun, and we'll pan over to Western New South Wales now at the Mount Panorama circuit for 11 laps at your favourite racetrack. And we are here at Mount Panorama. It is, of course, Keaton on pole, as we saw with the great Crush Bandicoot intro. It's Minmat second, Noble third, Metal Gear, Risky, Viper Z, Chopper Dog, Brian, Apex, Razor, and Phillips rounding out an 11-car field for tonight's sprint round.
Bit of improvement over last round, which is good to see. Hopefully we can finish the season strong, and they're underway. Keaton leads them into turn 1. Obviously, with the rolling start here, not much gain can be made, but up Mountain Straight they go. Oh, bit of dirt there on the exit of turn 1.
It's really kicking it out there. Midmat's going to get a face of it.
Now the trick here is going to be they've got to stay in that slipstream. If you let a gap happen early on like this, you're going to be fighting with the guys behind you and let those leaders run away. So consistency's key.
It's funny, that's something Keaton's really good at. I mean, he can really make a run for it in these sort of races, and you get someone like Midmat who just can't keep with him, even someone like him, and it just really ruins your rhythm.
Is Bathurst a little bit of a bogey track for some of these guys? You think they've got a bit more pace here than some other tracks?
Some people
being
just
one
love
of
the
them.
place.
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely a place you've got to thread right. It's if you rub it up the wrong way, it'll just put you up against the wall and try and kiss you. So
yeah, there's not much room at the top of the mountain there. So if your back does get up against the wall, there's not much you can do.
absolutely.
Keaton's already got a little gap here.
So the rest of the field coming through.
This car's so tricky to handle at the dipper. It just wants to kick out sideways.
Phillips navigates it alright. Heading down towards Forest Elbow here. Not doing a Chas Mostert, which is important to your race.
Yeah, no, you need legs to drive, unless you're on a controller.
No, doesn't matter then, does it?
I mean, but even with the controller, you don't even have to have thumbs, apparently.
Risky having a little look at Metal Gear here.
He's going to have a big sniff. Risky, of course, our championship leader at the moment. Just backs out of it.
Thinks better of it there. You don't want to be putting in a dive too early. Oh, he's off.
Wide. There's a bit of a punt there.
Oh, I think he just had nowhere to go. Trying to get around him after he's made a mistake, but hasn't been able to capitalise.
It's invited Viper right back into the party as well. Go on, son.
He's close enough now, you'd think, to take a run into turn 1. It just depends if he's willing to go for it.
Yeah, Risky's just going to hold station here.
I think
Depends
he
if he wants
realises
to show the nose.
he needs that slipstream up the mountain, otherwise he's going to be eaten alive.
Absolutely. I think it's Keaton who's made a run for it. He is bolted from Midmat. That is a huge gap
It's already nearly a 2-second gap there already.
That is insane. We'll just look at the fuel numbers. Yeah, it's Midmat conserving maybe a little bit more than what Keaton is. Noble's just hanging on.
Normally in a sprint race you wouldn't think that would make much of a difference.
No, so the sprint race is Metal Gear, just a little bit twitchy there. It's a sprint race of fuel conservation.
Risky wide out wide.
That's not going to help him. As a pit stop is probably the fastest way around this race, so you will see these guys dive in the 11-lap race. I mean, you can make the whole race on fuel save, but it is not the fastest strategy.
Are we going to see any passes up the top here at all, do you think?
No, not a chance in these
pretty
cars.
aggressive.
Chopper Dog's joined in as well, right on the back of Viper.
No, a little bit wide there. I think he's going to lose the pack there. He's got to watch out for Reeve O'Brien behind.
He's got Apex and Razor for company. Phillips seems to have just dropped off a little bit more than what he liked.
Hopefully Phillips can find some pace somewhere, because otherwise it's going to be a long night.
Well, he'd like to be probably a lot closer to this man, Keaton, who is... What is that gap now? That is something unreal to Midmat.
2.9 seconds.
That is stretching legs to a maximum.
So almost a second of that.
There's a gap from those podium positions back to Metal Gear as well, and there's a little train starting there.
Yeah, Metal Gear just not really finding his feet at the moment. I mean, we've said before he's not 100% comfortable in this car, but he's just not really getting up to speed how he'd like to.
Have a look back in 9th, 8th, 9th and 10th. Pretty close fighting going on there.
Oh, yep. Razor grabs the spot over Apex.
On an Apex.
Good move there, down the inside of one. Revo next in the line. See if you can't get it done. He's purple. Great first sector there for Razor. might just have to hold station over the top of the mountain. No passing really to be done from here on in.
Oh, he might try to dive down the inside of the cutting.
It'd be a bit of a Jono manoeuvre to do it. Oh, Brian covers.
Doesn't want to even give him the chance.
Looks like Brian has saved a lot of fuel in comparison to Razor as well. I wonder if that's a different type of strategy he's going for.
I think
generally pretty good with the petrol, so it can often be just the way that he drives. It seems to be quite smooth. It can hurt him for pace at certain tracks. Monza was one that he struggled quite badly at.
He tends not to move a lot of fuel.
Did get the strategy wrong on that occasion in Monza.
Well, hopefully he gets
Got
it right today.
last race.
A good run of form is Brian.
Yes, did very well last race. Almost snatched the win after those post-race penalties.
Was
I
it
think he'd be
less
filthy
than
with
2
himself for his
tenths?
own mistake. I think he had a spin late in the race, which ended his chance at taking that win.
Really unfortunate for him.
Actually had a few drivers in that race did very late pit stops. I think a lot of them running out of fuel a bit too early.
I think it was Captain Risky was one of them.
Either that or they were going for fastest laps because they knew their race was done.
Do you get an extra point for the fastest lap?
Believe you do.
Risky did take that on the last lap as well.
Clever strategy from Risky then. Quick lap times for me as RSO1s. I think a lot of people who watch the V8 supercars in Australia will be very common with them around Mount Panorama, and knowing that a 2-minute flat around the mountain is an absolute ridiculous time. These RSO1s, of course, running slightly less power than the common V8 supercar, but the grip is parallel to nothing.
That gap from Keaton is now 3.5 seconds back to Mint Matt.
That's insane from Keaton. This is a massive burst of pace from him. 59s in the last 2 laps.
He knows if he can get that gap, he can control the race from the front.
There's a slight gap formed from Risky in 5th place back to Viper set in 6th. He's got Chopper Dog from company.
He's had a moment somewhere to Viper. Not looking comfortable at the moment.
New livery there from Chopper.
Bit more of a aluminium metallic approach from Chopper. It's actually a nice colour he's used there for the base. Nice little blue accents around it.
It's not helping the grip.
Oh,
my goodness.
Very sideways.
He's actually used a fair bit more fuel than every single other person on the track as well.
Must be really wringing the guts out of that thing. Apex having a little moment there out of the elbow as well.
And Razor's all over.
He's going to have a look
side
here.
By side.
Inside for the first bit of the chase, but he'll have to get it done, and he does.
Early. Will Brian try and fight back?
He's got the chance, a little bit of slipstream to help him. Apex is joining the fight.
Thinks better of it.
Nice little move from Razor. That's 2 spots in the opening 4 laps. Maybe qualified a little bit out of position.
Viper's coming to the pits as well. It's a very early stop.
End of lap 4 for Viper. That's going to be a 7-lap stint on his mediums towards the end.
Aggressive undercut.
You'd think he'd be down to wires by the end of this. I think, Razor, you know something about going down to the end of wires.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Didn't think he would. Phillips right behind him here. Doesn't want to drop a spot to Phillips. That would really hurt him over the top.
Phillips struggling a lot tonight. It's unlike him.
It's not been his night.
You do find some drivers do struggle here though.
I think, like you said, it's a very temperamental track. It's easy to be good at and easy to be terrible at.
I myself, I love watching it, but not very good at driving it.
I'm a bit of both.
Oh,
Phillips straight into the wall. Caught that in the
Into
background
the
of the shot. He's just cooked it out of the cutting there and straight into the inside fence.
Probably a bit too much pressure on him, pushing a little bit more than he'd like to, just to try and stay with Viper, keep that slipstream. And unfortunately, it's not ended well.
Unfortunate for the Pagnian Racing man. He's got a lot of ground to make up, and you'd think he might just hold on until the end of this race, right in the back of the 11th.
Keaton, way out in front. What's that gap now?
The gap between Keaton and Matt is now 4.5 seconds. So he is extending that lead.
Yeah, it's still sitting at about a second a lap. Have to see if the early pit stop from Viper is going to play crucial or not. Will he make up some spots when the others... Do the others have to pit even? Is it a no stopper? Is it a one stopper?
So Matt's in. Metal Gear's in. Risky's in.
I think that might answer that question.
It looks like the no stop isn't the go. I mean, we haven't seen what some of the other legs are doing yet, but most of the runners, it seems, that was no fuel from Mid-Matt. That was no fuel from Mid-Matt.
Very interesting.
Well,
strange strategy call.
The amount he's got just over half left, and he's past halfway, but
and just
he'll
quickly,
be past halfway up the top. So
no fuel from Brian either. So Brian has actually jumped Razor in the pit stop simply because he didn't take fuel.
A clever stop there.
So Razor has now got to pass him on the circuit again.
Seems Viper's lost out a little bit towards Risky and Chopper Dog. Chopper Dog hasn't pitted yet, but he seems to just be a lot further behind. I mean, that's 3/4 of a tank. I tend to think Viper's probably taken on a bit too much.
Too much fuel there. I think with the lighter load that Brian has, he might be able to catch onto the back of Viper and try and put a move on, maybe at the bottom of the chase.
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to use that extra grip of the Renault. Of course, this car is so much quicker without a heavy fuel load on board, which is why we see in qualifying that without the fuel burn, as Brian goes wide, very lucky to gather that up.
All that fuel save maybe he's just gone to waste there.
He's lost a fair chunk to Viper over the top now.
Razor is closing in.
This is just blood in the water for Razor. It's probably within slipstream range here, actually.
Oh, definitely. That gap is now less than a second.
Keaton coming into the pit lane. One of the marks. One of the most unique pit lanes is Bathurst.
Oh, if we have a quick look back at Chopper Dog, he's made a lawn mowing excursion.
Oh, he cuts across the nose of Noble.
Something's happened with Noble as well.
That's just closed up the field. Chopper's coming into the pit lane, but it's Noble now. He's got all the pressure. Oh, flicks it sideways. Risky having a look. Oh, Metal Gear moves over on him. Risky gets it done, maybe? No, Metal Gear holds him around the outside.
Round the outside. Beautiful driving.
Wonderful defensive manoeuvre.
Risky trying to capitalise on Noble slowing up Metal Gear there with his little error coming onto the main straight.
And this is music to the ears of Mint-Matt, who you can only assume with this strategy was praying something like this had happened.
Well, it'll be interesting now. Can Mint try to close that gap on Keaton? Or does Keaton just have the edge?
I think he's just got the edge. I mean, that pace advantage from Keaton is something unreal. And
looking at the fuel numbers as well, Keaton has a little bit more fuel.
He'll be able to push.
He's got the opportunity to go and wring the neck and really push.
Wonder how much more is in it rather than a 59.6 as we've seen from Keaton. That's the fastest lap so far, but yeah, probably
half fuel, fresh tyres.
In theory, he'd be going much quicker.
Absolutely, yep. He's just got money to burn at this stage. We see that 58.1 from Mint-Matt isn't actually his fastest lap. That's the lap that's calculated through a pit stop, so it's not correct. It's his 2-minute flat point 4, which is the fastest lap of the race, so nearly a full second down on Keaton.
This battle for the final step of the podium is really hotting up. Risky's actually got Metal Gear somewhere over the top of the mountain.
Mistake from Metal Gear somewhere.
You'd have to think so. Because he's not right on the back of him either. There's a little bit of a... Oh, Risky pulls out to have a look. Side by side.
Oh!
Noble slots in behind. Smart driving.
Well done from Risky. He's not mucking around as the championship leader. Something we can't really say about anyone other than Keaton in recent times, but he's grabbing it by the horns at the moment as Captain Risky.
Well, the last time he was the championship leader, it didn't go so well for him a few rounds later. I think that 5th place, was it, at Yamagiwa, didn't help.
I believe so.
Even with Keaton missing last round, when we get to the end of it, there is one drop round that every driver can take, so Keaton's lead will grow.
Yeah, it's almost a tactical advantage that that Keaton's taken there. I mean, you can sort of just miss out on a round for any reason, and he can definitely just hold on to his points, as it's Brian putting pressure on Razor here for 7th.
Look on the outside of Griffins.
Well, it's ambitious. Razor holds on. A little bit wide there. Oh, it's a touch of the wall, surely.
A little bit of a cover there from Razor this time.
So Big Chopper Dog has lost out massively in that pit stop. He was running up in, what, 5th or 6th?
I think it really shows how powerful the undercut was. I mean, he stayed out that little bit longer, and he's got fresh tyres and the right fuel load at the moment, but he just can't make any gains on the cars ahead. They're all running at the same pace. He did have that mistake
that we missed with Noble as well, when he was off eating lawn.
Ah, lawn.
Nutritious lawn.
Well, it is free and it is vegetal, so...
Vegetal?
Vegetal.
New word. Look it up.
Yes.
Keaton's gone purple on his best lap.
Jump on board with the McLaren man.
Risky was extending then from Noble. Wasn't as close as it was last time.
He might just been able to pull away from him. He probably just wants to hold on to this 3rd place. He doesn't want the pressure from Noble or Metal Gear, and we're not really sure what Viper's Head's doing. I mean, he's setting some decent lap times, but he steps a little sideways. Wanted to go into the ridges.
It is a good experience to go there.
Can't say I've ever been personally. Not inside, at least.
Slipped out the front a few times.
Yeah, just under the pillars at the front. Brought my own sleeping bag and everything.
Oh, good on you. Oh, Noble a bit closer now.
Risky was a great first sector though. It's just unfortunate. It's the strange thing about Bathurst. Once you reach Griffins, there's just no real spots to overtake for the rest of the lap until you get to the chase.
You do have to sort of be inch perfect though. If you tap that wall, you can open the door. The pace difference would just be so great.
Bit of a battle here for 7th. Razor still holding onto that spot, but Apex is right there knocking on the door.
I think Chopper Dog has slowly made up some ground too. He's still a little way off 9th, but he's slowly getting there.
Well, he's seeing
these guys
fight.
Goes on, he'd probably make up a little bit more ground as the guys in front, as their tyres have that extra lap on them.
Bit of the overcut there from Blended Cat. Car showing a lot of attitude through the dipper now. As the tyres are wearing and the fuel load's growing smaller, they are stepping sideways at the best of times.
Oh, I suppose they're all pushing so hard. It's getting down to it now, only a few to go.
Yeah, only 2 laps to go after the checkered flag, or after the line here. Metal Gear's
that gap from Keaton to Matt has stayed at around that 5-second mark.
Interesting. So
it's
they're sort of running similar lap times then, are they? 59.9 from Matt there. Noble. They seem like they're much closer down the bottom, and then when they get to the top, Risky seems to extend it a little bit, but I'd say that slipstream just drags Noble right back in.
Down Conrod, it's really easy to gain an advantage in the slipstream. Just without that weight on the front of the car, you can just really excel.
There's a couple of little packs. Obviously we've got Keaton and Matt by themselves, but then there's the fight for the 3rd place. Viper Z on his own as well, and then there's another 4-car battle for 7th place.
That 4-car battle's looking real interesting. And Chopper Dog is well and truly joined on now.
Who do you put your money on here for 7th? Can Razor hold them?
I'd say Apex. I can't see him going backwards in this race. It's not a
having a look at the tyre wear, Razor has the worst tyres of the 4.
It does happen when you don't have thumbs.
It is hard to modulate. I mean, Chopper and Apex looking really good on tyre wear. And like I said, Apex just will not go backwards around this track.
If Chopper's got the better tyres... moment from Brian there. If Chopper's got the better tyres, using the slipstream down Conrod, he can possibly brake later to try and take those spots. That moment from Brian sort of opened it up now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, Apex
bit of breathing room for Razor there as well.
He'll be getting comfortable in 7th. 7th spot in 7th gear for Razor 4797.
7.
Car 47.
Going 270 kilometres.
There's a sign. No moves in the background. Noble really closed up to Risky again as we enter the final lap. It's Keaton way out ahead. He's already won the race. We don't care about Keaton. It's the 3rd step on the podium we want to know about. Oh, Risky!
Oh, Risky!
Oh, he's doing his best to bottle it, and Noble has the inside. It's the inside line for Noble.
He's going to get the pass completed before the braking zone, I'd say. Will Holland sneak up the inside too?
And Risky's trying to cover it. It's too late. Oh, Metal Gear might have him. And Risky's out in the marbles, and he loses 2 spots. Captain Risky. Lots of lag there from Metal Gear.
You cannot win a championship with mistakes like that.
No, I think there comes a point where you've just got to really drive conservative, and that was not what Risky was doing there at turn 1. The final lap of the race.
So these guys are going to be nose to tail over the top of the mountain. As are that fight for 7th.
Still exciting as Brian not giving up on the back of Razor. It just seems to really close the gap as we come over the top of the mountain.
What are their tyres looking like?
Black.
Razors have really fallen off. Apex is looking very, very good.
Apex probably the best tyre life of the 4.
Yes, definitely. Can you make use of them though?
Seems Risky has fallen off. His podium chances might be over for this race.
Probably gone unless these two really get into it at the chase as Metal Gear pulls out of the slipstream. This is it, final lap for the top third step of the podium.
Words are hard. He's got the right side that he wants.
Rear the outside. Can he get it done? They bump. Noble holds it. Oh, into the grass. He's been escorted wide there from Metal Gear.
Risky saves a little bit of face.
Noble might bounce back at him. Looks like these 3 are going to hold station. It's Keaton who wins the race. We're not even going to look at him. Battle for 7th was pretty exciting too. More exciting than Keaton's drive.
Looks like Brian couldn't do anything about it.
Razor's going to hold on. And this is only half of it.
Good drive under pressure.
Viper to come home in a boring 6th.
Yeah, we didn't even speak about him. Razor in 7th. Well done to him. Brian, Apex, small blended cat. And a very disappointed Phillips, who is in the gravel at the moment. He's radiciched himself. And he's done it again. Oh, just keeps it out of the wall.
Nice of that Marshall to just wave that green flag to say, please keep going.
Very good of him.
Please hurry up, I want to go home.
But what he doesn't know is there's a second race yet to come.
Another 20, not 20, another 11 laps of Mount Panorama coming your way.
You were going to say 20 minus 9 laps.
I was going to say 22, but you know, it's 22 in total. And yeah, math is hard. And of course, with this continuous grid, it is Keaton231 who starts us off for another 11 laps of Mount Panorama, slightly later in the day, which is a new introduction to our sprint round format. So it's a tweaked time of day.
Well, you've got to do something with the times. It's disappointing we can't have dynamic time change anymore, but things still look pretty as they get close to the line, waiting for the lights to go green, and they do, and away they go. Off to turn 1. Once again, rolling start. Not much you can do about it.
Another boring start.
Got to make sure you get through clean. See if this time Mint can try and stay in that slipstream of Keaton and not let him get away. He was holding station at the end of last race. Their lap times were fairly similar, so if he can stay in that slipstream, give the fight to Keaton, see what he can do.
Seems we've lost Apex. It seems he's backed his way out of here.
Down to 10 drivers already, very right.
If you have a look at the gap between Brian and Chopper Dog, there looks like there's meant to be another car there.
Yeah, I mean, this early in the race, you wouldn't expect to have a gap like that.
It's not like
every
Chopper
cloud
Dog's
has
done
a
anything
silver
wrong.
lining. We've got Phillips in the top 10 now.
Oh, wonderful effort from Phillips. I mean, a top 10 performance is something to be proud of, especially around Bathurst. As Keaton throws his McLaren RS101 over the mountain for the 12th time. It puts two wheels in the dirt.
Is that a sign of cracks appearing?
You'd like to think so. He's doesn't
Well, I don't know
look too
if
bad.
you'd like to think so.
Well, I think it'd make an exciting race. I think we could see Mitmat really challenge him if he just sorted to crumble a little bit under pressure.
Holland will be kicking himself from his mistakes in the last race. Want to make more of this. I'm sure he sees himself as a top 1, top 2 driver in this field if he really pushes himself.
I think based on driver skill alone, you're absolutely right. He's top 3 in this field for sure. Oh, it's really tightening up a second.
Oh, risky showing the nose.
Already Keaton sort of
Dirty racing manoeuvre if you ask me.
Oh, risky
covered
looking
there.
again. Oh, Metal Gear. Bit of a second move there. He's got to be careful with those.
What is the ruling there?
Verstappen.
You're allowed one move off the line and one move back to it, is it?
That's right, yep.
I think that's what he did.
Oh, I think within reason he was okay. I don't think it's anything the stewards will turn their nose up. I mean, Jono's got to be careful, but it's fine. Jono will escape penalty this time.
So he's lucky that he's not here, I think.
Yeah, I think if he was here, he'd be at the back of the grid with a disqualification.
If you're Noble here, what are you thinking? You're looking at the guys in front.
You're thinking that Risky's got a nice plump rear end.
Well, that's a general thought. What about in terms of racing?
I think in racing, you're hoping that he and Metal Gear really start getting at it. But if Noble likes his chances against Midmat, you'd want them to get out of the way.
So we will probably see a pit stop here again, just like we did in the first race. Will anyone try another undercut like Viper did? Maybe don't take so much fuel this time.
No, I mean we didn't really speak about that, but it was a bit of a strategy killer for Viper Z. He sort of just null and voided the rest of his race by doing that.
I suppose it is clean air faster, or is the slipstream faster? Oh,
mistake from Metal Gear.
In the wall, only slightly.
Risky. He's run deep there too.
Keaton pulling away in the distance again.
You can't really stop him. He's inevitable as this man. You might as well start calling him Iron Man.
He's already opened up a 2.5 second lead.
Oh, that is ridiculous. That's at a higher rate than what he was pulling away last race.
Risky is mighty close.
He might have a sniff here. Might have a sniff. He pulls out of the draft. Oh. Metal Gear. Oh, late covered. He goes off.
Oh, he's off.
Noble's there.
Oh, they've come together.
No, he's been taken off.
Oh no.
Hard to see what happened there. Here he is, of course, is Captain Risky, fighting back now against Holland.
It's a bit of a rest in peace to Risky's championship hopes. That is a big blow to what he was trying to achieve.
The two of them have been too aggressive with each other, and now they're down at the bottom of the field.
And as a result, this man, Keaton, is laughing. He's in prime position to take not only another race win with such a gap to Mintmat already, but I mean that's a free kick to Hawthorn at the championship for him.
Yep, he'll be able to extend that, well, take that lead first and foremost, and then extend it even more than it has been in the past.
Especially with this second race now being normal points worth.
Yeah, that's true. What do we think with that incident we saw? Risky, Holland, anyone at fault? It was hard to see exactly what had happened there.
Well, it seemed like they both outbraked themselves, just being a bit aggressive as to who wanted the position more. And then it just seemed like that Bathurst incident with Tander and Winkup and McLaughlin a few years ago.
Caused that.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Well, I didn't see. Did Risky help Holland off?
I think he did. I think when Risky tried to go down the inside, he wasn't expecting Holland to cover as well as he did. And as a result, we just saw Risky pile drive into the back of him. It's hard to lay blame on either driver, but I think there was definitely contact.
When Holland rejoined, it wasn't exactly safe, but I suppose karma hit Risky in the door there.
Yeah, exactly. Smack bang wallop crunch.
Race is really making inroads on Viper's Head here as well.
Yeah, Viper's going to be feeling the pressure. He takes a lot of curb there. That spat him out. Doing some chopper dog lawn mowing.
Oh,
and
no.
he's round. Oh,
bang.
Straight into the ridges. We were just talking about that.
Well, now you can say you have stayed there.
He has. Front damage. That's
reservation
chaos
for
Viper.
one Viper's Head.
Oh, well, he's going to make
straight into the
an
pit
earlier
lane.
pit stop this time. I suppose you lose the least
Going
amount of
even
time
earlier
after
than the
an
last
incident.
race.
You know, it was a null and void for the last race to pit like this. So I think this has got to be a bit of a your race has
And
gone.
he hasn't learned his lesson.
No.
He's filling up the car.
I think with this amount of he's pissed off. He's gone out. Look at that gap to 9th. That is ridiculous.
You can see him shaking his head there in the car.
No, he's clearly not happy with himself. Rookie mistake from someone who, at this stage, cannot be deemed a rookie.
So Holland's made a meal out of a chopper dog.
Would have blended that
risky.
cat.
Risky pushing very hard and almost losing the rear end.
He's just clearly showing a bit too much aggression is risky. He's got to really be patient here. I mean, this is a time caught up behind drivers. You might as well be saving fuel, saving tyres, just ready for the next stint.
By the time he gets past Chopper, I think Holland might have pulled away.
He's already got a bit of a gap, but he's got Phillips holding him up. Phillips has been a bit of a quiet achiever. He's up to 6th place.
Yeah, much better than the first race. He'd be loving that it's worth full points.
It's fantastic. I mean, this is really helping him out for round points. That is not helping him as he gets well sideways around the dipper. A chopper dog in the background, really close to the wall. Another 4-car fight forming in front of our eyes. Oh,
coming up to the pit stop window, so I wonder if anyone's going to go the Viper's Head-esque aggressive strategy.
I think we saw that it doesn't work that well. I mean, Keaton's smart enough that he won't, and we'll watch him here. Surely he won't be diving in. So he continues on for lap 4.
Metal Gear's got the move done on Phillips, so Phillips is fighting back.
And Chopper Dog
wants a piece.
off. Well out wide there. Risky's throwing
Risky
it, is he?
in the pit lane.
Or in the pit lane. Oh, he's overcooked it. Oh, Risky. In the gravel and in the fence is Risky.
Oh, Stephen Richards all over again.
His race is done.
Oh, I think he can maybe salvage something.
Oh, I think it'd be hard from here. That was a huge chunk of time loss. He'll even be behind Viper at this stage. And he is
too.
Well behind Viper, who we thought his race was done. So these two are not having a good night at this stage.
No, not at all.
Metal Gear seems stuck behind Phillips.
He seems to have gotten the move back on Metal Gear and all that chaos, I guess you could say.
Oof. These cars really don't like those really strong gradient corners.
No, they react pretty poorly to them, as Phillips is showing us his best drifting impersonation coming under the Fujitsu signage.
Some big gaps forming as well. Keaton's nearly got a 5-second lead over Matt already.
In less than 5 laps. Incredible. Incredible.
Another 2 seconds back.
Compared to Keaton,
yeah,
he's done a
Racer
big
3.5.
I mean, there's a little bit more fuel, so he won't have to take any in the pit stop, you would think.
It'll definitely go his way.
I don't know if it's enough to make up that deficit.
You just see that rear tyre wear on Revo's car. It's very telltale of the way this car wears its tyres in the MR format. Likes to chew up the rears really quickly.
Well.
Bit more tyre wear all over for Razor. It's probably a little bit harder on his rubber.
So Stums man, or lack of.
And he comes.
And he is a pitting man apparently.
He's worked those rubbers, time to change them.
We've all got to use a rubber at some stage, unless you're Catholic.
Hello to our Catholic viewers.
Hope you're enjoying the night. Of course, this is as always Hatfield, Jason, and Liam Viper's Head.
Super team.
Super B team.
Ew.
Super B's.
They're all coming out of the pits now.
And it's not over for Captain Risky as he actually jumps Metal Gear in the pit lane.
he would have had to put in some. I was going to say very fast laps, but it's only
Actually,
been
look
one.
at that outlap. That's a 157 outlap. That's some impressive pace from him.
Must be that clean air and those guys being stuck behind Phillips has really turned the tables for him.
We're about to see another 4-car battle unfold. Oh, blended cats
Oh,
into the fence, and he's
bit of a audacious sniff there from Risky, and he's let Metal Gear through here as well. Oh, side by side through here. No,
Two into here does not work.
Oh, yep, he's been fenced.
Only just. We'll get away with that.
I think. What are our thoughts there? Is that Risky's job to back out of it, or is that Metal Gear's job to take a stand and go, no?
I think he's just been Catholic schoolgirled by Pastor Metal Gear.
I think in that instance, that camera view, it's a bit hard to tell side by side.
I think we'll have to let the stewards decide on that one and give Jono a 25-second penalty for it, because in the commentary box it's hard to make a call. So
side by side just does not work over the top of the mountain.
No, you see it very rarely, and doing it with Metal Gear of all people is tough at the best of times.
Keaton's in leader pits.
Does this blue pit crew come in? McLaren team.
As Minmat stays out.
Ambitious from Minmat, going for a bit of an overcut, which we've seen doesn't work. But I'm not sure Minmat knows that.
I think, has Mint already pitted?
Or maybe he's already pitted, actually.
He has.
Like they're not worn at all.
Apologies there.
Textbook analysis from the Super B team.
I mean, we are the B team.
Things that have already happened a few laps after they happen.
Brian comes out of the pits a little bit behind Razor. He'll probably have a bit of chase to give. Fresher tyres as well. Vipers Ed running a very lonely race in 6th again, but I think some would say that's a race he shouldn't be running. I mean, after that mistake, 6th is probably a pretty good result for him at this stage.
Yeah, that's
remember that he pitted very, very early, so his tyres are going to be
shredded.
Rubbish.
Shed.
They will be rubbish by the end of the race, and I think we may see Phillips really come at him, being pushed by, of course, Metal Gear behind.
Even Phillips has gapped Metal Gear just a little bit.
Well, he might be coming under a bit of pressure from Captain Risky. They've both jumped Chopper Dog in the process, but Risky and Metal Gear, a love story that doesn't have its end yet.
I guess
SBC has really fallen off the back, though.
Yeah, something might have happened there.
Yeah, it's not very blended cat to be down this far. I mean, we've seen a lot of pace from him in the past, so it could just be the Bathurst effect coming into play, but just seems like maybe
not in the not even in the low 201s.
It's not particularly consistent either. You've definitely got to think he's been involved in an incident somewhere. Risky's just dropped off Metal Gear a little bit. He was giving chase to Phillips, who little bit of an air gap to him, but probably not enough to chase Vipers at, actually. He's got a huge gap to overturn in the next 4 laps.
All the field's spreading out now.
If we look ahead, Keaton still has a pretty commanding lead over Mint-Matt.
I think early money definitely goes on Keaton just to finish off the round in a very Keaton performance.
We haven't seen a single mistake from him so far, and we may not see one again.
I think the early rounds spooked him a little bit. I mean, we saw people like Holland and Risky really scare him and say, we can win in this car too. So I feel for a sprint round like this, Keaton's pulling out all the stops just to assert his dominance on this category.
Yep, I was away for a week. Now I'm back. Watch out.
Absolutely, and it's Mint-Matt who, away for a week again, he wasn't at Catalonia either, and a P2 from him, it's a pretty convincing performance so far.
2 2s from 2.
Can't complain.
Noble sitting comfortably in 3rd as well to back up his win from last round.
And well, he's done 2 races and been on the podium twice. Could be 3 from 3 here.
It's consistent from the man who drives the Lexus.
Behind, but that gap may be just a bit too strong for the thumbless man to
overcome. The thumbless man proves he can still slide a car.
Like that.
You know, thumbless man.
A friend of the stream, Daniel Spence says, loves to drive a car like a wog.
Facts with Daniel.
Good wog.
mean, I've got to ask Thumbless, man, how do you slide a car like that?
Gaps up the front, though, this has got to be the closest, so... He's got 3 laps. How are their tyres comparing?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the tyre life of Razor's a little bit worse than Noble. As is traditional anyway, he seems to burn the tyres up a lot more than most other drivers.
Oh,
into the
grass not going to help either.
There.
Keeps that up, he's going to have to look behind and watch out for Revo Brian.
Metal Gear gets the job done on Phillips.
Oh, Phillips almost into the wall. Manages to hold on, but he hasn't been able to hold on to that 7th place.
Yes, Metal Gear has made that move stick somewhere. Risky behind, who also gets right out sideways on the curb.
He's got to get his head down and get that car in line if he wants to have a chance at taking 8th spot.
I think he will catch Phillips.
Chopper's really fallen off the back now.
Yeah, I can't see him making up this time now to Risky. It's been a disappointing night for him because he qualified pretty well in the midfield.
Well, sometimes you just don't have the night that you want to have.
Most of the field now have got some gaps in between them if we cycle through. The top 6 are all separated by a significant margin.
Yeah, unless one of them makes a major mistake, you'd think this is how they're going to finish.
Vipers are probably a little further back from Brian than the rest of them. He's got Metal Gear still hunting him.
Strange to see a field spread like this in a sprint round.
Looks like they got it all out of their system early. They might have had enough and just want to bring it home.
I think Revo O'Brien is actually catching Razor slightly, but with only 2 laps remaining, I don't know if he's going to be able to make the charge.
Is he even in slipstream range?
No, well he's another 2.5 seconds back, and we know slipstream in a car like this is about 1.5 seconds down a straight.
He's certainly trying hard. He's just done his fastest lap of the race.
0.3 quicker than that of Razor.
Is anybody in the 59s other than Keaton?
Mint Matt's last lap was actually 59.9.
Very speedy from Mint Matt.
And I believe Metal Gear has done a 59.9 as well somewhere.
Yeah, well, that just shows where he should be up the front, if not for those mistakes.
Vipers has also done a 59 as well. A bit further back in the race.
Yes, he's done well to get that. I'd call that luck, though.
Oh,
The pace is there, just not the consistency.
Consistency is probably a little hard to come by, and he's made the mistakes he has.
All those gaps remaining steady at the moment. Although Holland looks like he's on a bit of a charge behind Viper.
Yes, looking at it now, that's very, very close. And looking at the last laps from each of them, Metal Gear was a whole second faster than Viper's at.
It's going to be a very, very tense end of the race for Viper. Surely Holland's got the slipstream there. Can Viper
Looking at
hold
their
on?
fuel though, Metal Gear does not have a lot left.
Oh, I think he's got
You'd
enough
have
for
to
one
hope that
lap.
he's got his fuel number right.
Brian, space in front, space behind. We're on the final lap here.
We've actually missed a mistake from Phillips as well.
Fallen back has he. As we start the final lap with Viper, with Metal Gear all over the back of him, looking very menacing. Up Mountain Straight. Getting all that slipstream. Viper staying to the right, being very defensive. He doesn't want to even give him a look. Metal Gear moves over. They get the overlap.
Viper's up at the inside line. Does he... Pushes him out wide.
Yeah, nothing he could do there. The track just falls away a little bit. He'll have to try again. Probably at the chase. It'd be my bet. Stick in behind here, make up that time lost from corner 2.
You'd think he'd save a bit of fuel while sitting here, considering you actually can't pass.
Right on the back of him. No room for error. Oh, he's having a look.
He has a look.
Oh, a moment out of the dipper. He's lost a bit of time there. He wanted to be really close coming out of the elbow. Almost touches the wall. Now he's got to get in that slipstream.
He will have the run though. Keaton rounds the final corner.
Another classic Keaton win, start to finish.
Dominates the round.
Oh, Holland having a look at the chase. Viper defensive again.
To make contact.
Oh, he's off. He's rejoined ahead of Viper's Ed.
I don't know if that would be under question of the stewards.
Oh, hard to say.
It seems he's got 6th place in the bag here.
If Viper helped him off.
Oh no, he's run out of fuel.
Wow.
He has run out of fuel.
You were right on the line there. Phillips comes home,
takes a
top 10.
disappointing 9th. And Phillips rounds out 10.
There you go. Sprint round 5, done and dusted. Who were the standout drivers tonight, do we think?
I mean, Keaton, that was just absolute domination. No one even stood a chance.
Yeah, Mint was sort of there and thereabouts with lap speed, but it seemed like he just didn't have enough. That gap would open up at the beginning of each race, and there wasn't much he could do about it. Noble, good to get a pair of thirds, and then the rest of the field, some more consistent than others, but too many mistakes from our, I would say, previous now championship leader there, Risky.
I think Risky, a bit kicking himself after he was the final podium sitter in race 1. And yeah, to fall down like that's put a serious dent in his championship hopes, and I hate to say it, but it may have ended his charge.
Yeah, unless Keaton makes another no-show or some big mistakes, you can't see him losing it from here. So, next round 6 of season 11. We head off to the Red Bull Ring. That's it, in Austria. So, back to normal rounds. So, we'll see a few more pit stops instead of the lone one that we saw tonight. Be interesting to see who can come out on top, if anyone can take it to Keaton, or if he's just going to run away with it again.
I suspect a race full of overtakes. After just watching that race then and seeing the amount of tow that people were getting up Mountain Straight and down Conrod, the 3 decent straights at Red Bull Ring will surely serve up some action.
Yeah, and with that turn 2 being so slow and so tricky to get back on the power, we might see a few loop it around, or some others get better exits to take the fight down into turn 3.
Should be a thrilling race.
Thanks as always, Super B team, for joining us. Liam, Jason.
And we'll see you next week.
Sounds good to me. Bye.